What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. I do sincerely apologise that I was a few minutes late, but I was recording something else. It ran over because, you know me, I make a mess of these things when I'm left to my own devices. But I am here now and I do apologise for the delay. How are we? I hope that you're all keeping well. I hope that the sun's shining where you are. I hope you're all in fine fettle. And interestingly, I want to start off with something that happened last night because it's not very often that my mind is blown on here. But you might remember, those of you who watched last night's stream, that there was a gentleman that put into the chat that his mum was a massive fan and asked would I say hi. Now, of course, you know me, I'm always happy to say hello to anyone and I'm always very grateful that people watch what we do. But I'm also very dubious that people are on a wind-up at times. And he did actually send us a little video that his mum was indeed watching. They had me on the TV in the house. So to this gentleman and his mum, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I hope nothing I say offends. I never want to offend anybody, but it did blow my mind, I have to say, because it's weird. I was speaking to Mark Albridge about this as well, and when you sit here and you talk to the camera and you do your thing and you make your content and you do the silly things that you do, it's always really, I know this is going to sound really dumb, but it's really difficult to imagine that all you guys out there in YouTube world are actual human beings that are sitting there watching on your TVs, your iPads, your phones, or whatever it is. And when you get that realization that it's a human that's watching, it actually blows your mind a little bit. So yeah, there you go. That was a bit of an interesting one yesterday, but thank you to that guy for dropping us that video on Instagram. It went there really well with us. It made us smile, and thank you very much. And again, hi to your mum. She is genuinely someone that watches, so thank you very much. Right, Carrie's with the first super chat tonight. Hello, better looking version of Vin Diesel. I'll take that every single day. Carrie, are you my PR manager? If not, you should be. So Carrie said, better looking version of Vin Diesel. My wife likes Vin Diesel, by the way. I think he looks like a tortoise myself, but there you go. Don't sign anyone else, rely on youth, and don't sign anyone next season of note. And what? No, I don't mean the title of tonight's stream, Carrie, to be all doom and gloom, because I think we've been very clever in the way we go about our transfer business. But it does seem to be a little bit of a fact right now that we see Chelsea really making a hard push to go and sign Erling Haaland. At least that's according to the usually reliable Jan Fjorthoff. And I'm sure that Fabrizio's probably had a little bit to say on this as well, although I haven't had a chance to check it out. It does make you worry, because it looks like Manchester United are zeroing in on Jadon Sancho. If Chelsea are putting all their eggs in the Haaland basket, and look, we know Roman Abramovich will open up his wallet and spend when he needs to or when he wants to, and the thoughts of Haaland joining Chelsea is a pretty frightening prospect. So what can we as a football club do to try and mitigate these other factors of these superstars that could be going to Manchester United, that could be going to Chelsea? And look, we also know that Manchester City are going to be going out for a striker this year. So I don't want this to be all doom and gloom, and this isn't me coming on here to have a little moan because we're not out there signing Kylian Mbappe or the likes of it, because I think we can be clever. We can do things in a different way, and I wouldn't be losing my mind just yet. But look, we'll go through it, see how you're all feeling. We'll talk about the latest round of links. We'll talk about Vlahovic from Fiorentina. We'll talk about Patson Daka, of course, as well, and a few other bits and pieces. Will we sign a top-class forward this summer? My belief, Angus, is yes. But what you or I or others would class as top class, my man, is probably open to debate. So for me, let's start off with Patson Daka, somebody whose name has been mentioned quite a lot by myself and other Liverpool fans of West Ham and other clubs. I was just recording a new show for One Football, which will be coming out on Anfield Agenda, by the way, in the coming days, so keep an eye out for that one. That'll be a weekly thing, by the way. And it seems that Roma have now thrown their hat into the ring for Patson Daka. So we know that Jose Mourinho has taken over as Roma manager for the start of next season. But I honestly can't see them as a more appealing prospect. If we're genuinely interested in Daka, and he has been given time off by his national team manager to sort out his future, so it looks like one way or another things will start unfolding in the coming days. And look, I'd take Patson Daka and I would class him as a top class forward. He may not be as proven, he may not be as much of a household name as the others, the likes of a Harry Kane or a Haaland or that, but to me, from what I've seen of him, from when he's played against us and what he's done with Salzburg and his statistics, he knows where the goal is. And I think at around 20 million quid, I'd be more than happy to say that that was a good addition. Now, what we do then depends, I suppose, on Harvey Elliott and how we look at that situation. Is that the end of our attacking threats or our attacking additions if we were to sign him? You know, I don't think it would be. I think we may be in for a surprise with regards to creative force in midfield. Maybe someone like a Houssam. Right, let's get going though with more of your comments, folks, because as always, this is your show. I'm going to do a little segment a little later on in the stream as well around the second kit and the third kit, because images of those have been released by the ever-reliable Footy Headline, so we'll talk about them in a couple of minutes as well. So remind me in case I forget, because you know me, I'm a little bit ditzy at times. Look at us all with our blue badges. There you go. They're not blue though. They're I believe, what's this Connor said? Diamond, mate, not blue, diamond. If you want to get yourself a badge, folks, if you want to get into the Anfield Agenda Cool Kids Club, if you want to get into our Discord group, if you want to get use of all the emojis and stuff that we have, you can join Anfield Agenda FC, which is of course our membership on here. It is $4.99 a month. There is a link in the description, but for that you will get all the inside scoop on transfers, you will get news and input on how Anfield Agenda evolved and how it moves forward, because I do take feedback, I do have open conversations with the guys in the Discord group, and they usually get a heads up on things before anybody else as well. So yeah, you can talk to us offline, which is well another little benefit of it, I suppose. Right, same old owners spend nothing. Do you know what? It's a fair thing, Peter. And look, I have an image on my phone that I want to bring up and talk about, because I've been meaning to bring it up for a few days, and it's around net spends. And I know net spend, by the way, when we talk about net spend, it's not the be all and end all, because net spends, as myself and Steve pointed out last night in the Discord group, net spends can be a little bit deceiving. So you can have a lower net spend because you've been more clever, or because you have gotten top dollar for the players that you've sold. So for instance, your net spend would be massively increased. Of course, if you're out there buying superstar players, you're going to have a high net spend. But if you're bringing in players even in the 30-40 million quid bracket, and not being able to offload players like Michael Edwards has been, and he has been phenomenal at some of the money that he's brought into the club, and that can affect net spend as well. So it's a judgment, it's a tool that we can use to have a look at the bigger picture, but it's definitely not something that I'd say is definitive. So this said that Premier League top 12 clubs net spends since 2016. Now again, I'm not saying that this is a definitive number, but let's just use it as a gauge to have a conversation. So as you probably expect, Manchester City topped this list, having a net spend of £561 million. Now remember, this is net spend, so this is after whatever they've brought back into the club in transfers. Manchester United following in second with £498 million. Arsenal £309 million. God only knows where that went, by the way, because they're still awful. Chelsea £262 million. Now I would gauge to say that maybe this is before. Well, do you know what? Maybe not, because to be fair, Chelsea spend a lot of money, but they are very good at recouping money as well, with the likes of Vitesse Arnhem and other clubs where they loan out youngsters, get them experience and sell them on. So that's been a tool that Chelsea have used quite well, if I'm being honest with you, with bringing in money to the club. Everton, £256 million net spend for the Mersey billionaires. Aston Villa, £254 million. Wolves, £214 million. Spurs, £204 million. Brighton, £201 million. West Ham, £171 million. And then bottom of that table comes Liverpool with £120 million. Now, even allowing in for the factors that we spoke about a couple of moments ago, I still think that it doesn't look great. It doesn't. Whatever way we cut this up, whatever way we look at it, we've spoken about TV revenue, Champions League revenue, we've spoken about Nike, we've spoken about sponsorship, marketing, and all this brilliant stuff that has helped raise the profile of our football club. But yet we still don't seem to be willing to go out there and smash open the piggy bank once or twice. People will say that we signed Alisson and we signed Van Dijk, and you're absolutely spot on, folks. But we also knew we had the Felipe Coutinho money coming, so yeah, there is that. It is mad though. I mean, it's also a sign of how clever we've been. I mean, you can look at it both ways. We've been really clever in how we've gone about bringing players in, and to have won a Champions League and to have won a Premier League, to have finished second in the Premier League, reached another Champions League final with that net spend. It's good, but it still doesn't answer the question that we all have of, where's the money? Where's the money, John? Where is it, mate? And then that's before I even get to the part about, you know, Red Bird Capital and their acquisition of 10% of FSG's holdings. But look, that's for another day, isn't it? Right. What do I think about Matthias Pereira, said Bob, who is, of course, the guy from West Bromwich Albion. And look, we have been known, mate, to fancy a little relegated transfer before. I've not seen anything personally, buddy, to link him to Liverpool, but he's a talented player. Where that talent peaks at, that remains to be seen. We have been clever, but it's still a joke. You know what, RSH14? I would agree with you, man. And look, I said at the start, net spend's not the be-all and end-all, but it's an important factor. And it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great when we're being constantly told we're broke. Now, another valid point is, of course, how high our wage bill is. We have the second highest wage bill in the Premier League. At least when the last set of figures were announced, we had the second highest wage bill. But I want to give credit to one of you guys, because you often hear me say the phrase that we teach each other on here. I come with some facts, you come with some facts, we have a conversation and we go back around it. I am aware I missed a super chat, by the way, so I'm going to scroll back up to that in a second. Carrie said FSG can't keep saying next season. They've been saying the same old excuses for a long time. It's always bigger picture, never this season. Why? Do you know what? That kind of leads me to where I'm going, Carrie. So well played yet again on the super chat. And David Skews, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, my man. So look, where was I going with this? Where was I? I've lost my own bleeding train of thought. This is what happens when I'm left to my own devices. Anyway, FSG net spend, money, circle, move around. Yeah, look, where is the money? It is the question. Where is the money? We can't constantly hear next summer, as Carrie said, next summer, next summer, next summer. And then when next summer comes, we often get the line of, well, X and Y happened, so. I was talking about wages, wasn't I? There you go. So, wages. I wonder, and this was pointed out by one of you guys, which is something that I learned and a viewpoint that perhaps I hadn't thought of. Did we have such a high wage bill that particular year because we'd won stuff like the Champions League and the Premier League, and we do know that Liverpool players' contracts are highly incentivised. So, to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe there's anybody at Liverpool Football Club right now on a base weekly wage of more than 200 grand a week. I think Salah's around the top earner. And now, of course, as I said, they are incentivised contracts. So, when the club are successful, the players' wage packets get a bit of a boost. And I wonder, was that the reason for this particular year that our wage bill was so high? Or do we genuinely have a lot of players on the higher part of the lower scale, if you get me? Because we know we've got no one on 400 grand a week. We know we've got no one on 500 grand a week. So, yeah, it's still... And look, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a business person with regards to this level of finance. But I have to say, I think it's a very valid point when everybody says, where's the money? How do we always have no money? It's frustrating. It is. And I won't lie to you. It is frustrating. Right, what else have we got? Let me get more of your comments going. One person I'd love LFC would be Wamman from Stuttgart. I've got to say, buddy, I've never heard of the guy. But that, that's just because there's only so many hours in the day. What else have we got? I want to talk about Vlahovic, the guy from Fiorentina, because there was an article doing the rounds today about him as well. And I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about this guy for a while. And look, I've known about him. I've known about his availability, but there's a little more information after coming around today. Oh, and don't go anywhere, by the way, because I've a blast from the past that I'm going to bring up as well. A name that I haven't heard mentioned with Liverpool for a while. Those asking, the chair is real. I know, it looks like it isn't real, but it is. It's a cool chair, and it's never leaving my house. It is, yeah, my baby. Anyway, so Liverpool again linked with Vlahovic. Liverpool are once again being linked with Fiorentina's Dusan Vlahovic. Scoring 21 goals in 40 games, the 21-year-old has spoken out saying he sees himself with the Italian side but has not reportedly put sides in the Premier League off. According to Gazzetta dello Sport, Liverpool could be in the forward's mind as his agent held talks with the club last month, and Liverpool could potentially face competition from AC Milan for the player's signature. Weird this, because AC Milan have been linked with a lot of players that Liverpool have been linked with as well, like Hakan Çalhanoğlu. No, sorry, he's leaving to go to Juventus. Sorry, that's my bad on that one. He was, of course, at AC Milan. But, Chiesa scored a lot of goals at Fiorentina before he made the move to Juventus. And while he's still a young player, he hasn't really lit the world up yet. So I'm always a little bit weary of signing strikers from Serie A. And again, I argued with a gentleman yesterday with regards to how much of Juventus I've watched, and I have watched fair bits, but I haven't watched much of Vlahovic. So I'm looking at you guys here to give me a bit of a heads up on, is this kid good enough? At 21 years of age, seems to be in the right age profile. But, 21 goals in Serie A is a good return, no denying that. But is he the real deal? Is he a flash in the pan? I need your help here, folks. I need you guys to let me know what's up around him. Daka's bang average. Don't buy, Craig. Don't buy. I'm sure there's a window somewhere you could be licking, mate, honestly. But anyway, we move on. Mr. Don't buy, Craig. Move on. Right. What's this? JWP or Tielemans? So Yuri Tielemans, there was an article doing the rounds today that I just actually talked about in the One Football show. That's a journalist from his native Belgium that says that Yuri Tielemans' future may lie away from Leicester City. And I my thoughts on this. I don't doubt the lad as a footballer, but I do doubt Liverpool's willingness or ability to go out there and pay Leicester City what it would take to get Yuri Tielemans out of Leicester City. Manchester United are another club who've been linked with Tielemans, and for me, I don't know how strong that link is. I haven't had a chance to look into it, but I'd have no problems with signing Tielemans. But you know where I stand on this, ladies and gentlemen. I have a sneaking suspicion, and it is just this. It is just my own intuition. I think Liverpool are going to be putting their eggs into the basket next summer and looking to sign Jude Bellingham. And with that in mind, I don't know if they would go out and look to sign somebody like Yuri Tielemans this summer. I think if we cut our cloth accordingly, we bring in a couple of players, we move on some fringe players, we do clever business. A lot of clubs will spend a lot of money this summer. So City, maybe Kane, United, Sancho and a couple of others. We know Chelsea are going after Haaland, which may be the final piece of their jigsaw. So, there isn't going to be as much money available for some of these clubs to again go out and splash serious money next summer. And I think Jude Bellingham could be the one. He could be the generational talent that maybe sees FSG open up the purse strings a little bit. We'd have another year with Nike under our wing. We'd have, probably more Champions League money. And yeah, I'm probably being a bit hopeful here. I get it, but it's just a feeling I have. You link that in with, of course, Jude Bellingham speaking about or tweeting or Instagramming about his admiration for Gerrard and stuff like that. And, maybe he's the new Jude. I don't know. What do you think? No, the blast from the past isn't Fekir, Pat. I promise you. I wouldn't even bring that up, mate. I mean, the Fekir stuff has gone. I mean, even if there was a lot of links, whatever reason it was, we walked away, whether it be his knee or otherwise, mate. I don't think we're going to revisit Nabil Fekir at any time. It's not Lallana either. So what do you want me to go to first? Do you want me to go to the blast from the past that's been relinked, or do you want me to talk about the second and third kits that have been the images have been released over the last 24 hours or so? I'll leave it up to you guys. Which one do you want me to talk about? Do you want me to go to the player that we've been linked with before, or do you want me to go to the kits? The Bellingham rumour could make sense. I mean, it's not even a rumour, buddy. It's just something that I've invented in me noggin, to be honest with you. I've not really seen... Well, I'm sure there are Liverpool fans talking about Bellingham, and rightly so, but I've not seen many, reputable establishments really saying that it's a thing. Kits, blast from the past, kits. Do you know what? We'll go to the kits first, ladies and gents. So let me just change image here. So... as you can see, here's a rough guide of the three kits that we have for next season. But let's just look at these one at a time and go through them. So let's start with this one. This seems to be a favourite of a lot of Liverpool fans that I've been speaking to on Twitter today. And by the way, I am back on Twitter, so if you want to give me a follow on there, it's just @CraigHolden, HOULDEN. So this is the one that a lot of Liverpool fans are liking the look of. Now, it's always difficult to gauge these things without seeing them in person, of course. And there are a few aspects of this kit that I really do like. I think the collar, and it could be the way it's hanging here on the hanger, I think the collar seems to be a little bit too pronounced and it drops a little bit too much. The buttons, of course, I think also come down a bit low, but it could look better on. So there are designs. There is how do I say this? there is a pattern of lines on this kit that this image here doesn't really show up as well, which makes it a little bit less plain than it might seem at first glance. And I can understand why people like this one. I'm not personally a fan of white kits. Probably because I'm a bit of a chunky SOB, and you usually like to put on black to make yourself look a bit slim, and if you're of my build. But for those of you out there that are a little bit more athletic, that aren't quite a chunky SOB like me, I can see the appeal of this kit. Now, I think all of this season's kits for me have been skewed a little bit by the fact that Standard Chartered have changed the logo around, and I prefer the old one, if I'm being honest. But look, it's not up to me to talk about Standard Chartered. So let me know what you guys think of this one in the comment section. I know Jack Gill, for instance, loves it. I know Connor thinks it's quite nice, and most of the folks on Twitter seem to really like it as well. And I think this one, to me, I can see the appeal. I can. It's not for me personally, but that's just because I'm too fat to wear white. I have to own up, I did order the home shirt today. I had ordered it for my son, and I'd seen enough of it in person to think, do you know what, Craig? Take a punt. So I bought that today, and it should be arriving tomorrow. But the reason I bought it is because I was hanging off for the next kit I'm going to show you to be released, and it wasn't what I expected. So we'd all heard rumours around the lovely pinstripe yellow shirt that was coming out, and we'd all been hopeful. We'd seen some images being released, but unfortunately it looks like they've melted down Ronald McDonald, and this is what we're left with. So it's a ketchup and mustard look to me. Now, let's talk about it, because it is my opinion that it's not great. I mean, it has potential, but I think the checker on the collar and the checker on the cuffs ruins the shirt. Now, there is a reasoning behind this, of course, and that checker is supposed to represent the flags on the Kop, the flags and the banners that were on the Kop in the 70s and stuff. And there is a pinstripe in this shirt, just not the red pinstripe that we'd hoped for, but there are very subtle lines and pinstripes going down it. To me, I don't like it one bit, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very, very disappointed because I had so much potential. I really did. I love the fact it's got the Nike and the tick beside it. I love that. I think that looks much better on shirts than just the tick. Obviously, the Liverpool is magnificent wherever it is, but I don't know, man. The collar and the cuffs, I mean, it looks like a mixture of a tablecloth you'd see if you're on your holidays over in Spain. And I know what they were trying to do. I know what they were trying to do with the flags from the Kop and stuff, but my God, it's not great. It's not great at all. Yeah, I think they've massively missed the mark with this one, folks. I do. So for me, of the three, this is the worst of the bunch. I mean, if I was to rank them purely on looks, I'd say the white one I showed you a minute ago is probably top of the list, even though I wouldn't buy it because of the reasons I explained. The home one then, to me, would be second. That's grown on me. The more that I see it, the more it is actually growing on me. But this, I mean, I don't get it. This is going to be the third kit, by the way, not the away one. This will be the third kit. I mean, it seems like a missed opportunity for me, ladies and gents. You know, there's great potential there for the yellow and red colours. I think everybody was on board with a bit of retro look from, was it 78, something like that, perhaps, off the top of my head. But it's not fake, Jonathan, mate. I really don't think it is fake. I mean, footy headlines are usually on the ball about this stuff, mate, and they even go as far as to give the explanation. And when you get that level of detail, mate, it's not just some Johnny-come-nobody throwing up a kit together. You know, they've gotten the information of why each specific part of the kit is there. So, yeah, I'm a bit disappointed with it, I have to say. I mean, we thought we were going to get the lovely pinstripe one with the round neck, and yeah, this was what it is. Look, Hamza likes it, and of course, kits are like that, aren't they? There is a little bit of something for everybody, which is probably why the kits are certainly more modern looking than in recent times, but yeah, they are quite divisive as well. You're never going to make everybody happy, so that's my take on it anyway. But I'm going to switch back to the other studio now and talk about the blast from the past, because I did mention that there was another player that had been linked to Liverpool, and I did not think this was going to happen. I did see one or two if you get it right in the chat, by the way, so fair play. And the blast from the past says the Klopp could finally seal a transfer for Liverpool's #1 transfer target. But when they say #1, they're going all the way back to the time where we were in for, Well, let's just say the time where we lost out in the Champions League right at the death. So they are talking about Julian Brandt. Julian Brandt, of course, formerly of Bayer Leverkusen, then went on and played for Borussia Dortmund. And it seems because of limited opportunities there, and this, I think, story originates from the Mirror. They speak about Liverpool having been linked with him back in 2017 before we went on to get Mohamed Salah. And look, what a signing Mo was. I mean, we definitely came out tickety-boo on that one, didn't we? But they go on to say that the 25-year-old looks like he could be surplus to requirements. And the really interesting thing here, £17 million is the number being mentioned for Julian Brandt. I remember at the time hearing stories that he wanted to stay in Germany. He'd been linked with Bayern, I think, at one point, and it made sense that he went to Dortmund, particularly if he did want to stay in Germany. But 17 million, that's the only part of it that kind of makes me think, 17 million for somebody who Klopp did like the look of, and somebody who would give us another option without us shelling out so much that we blocked the pathway for Harvey Elliott to come through. So it's an interesting one. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but it's certainly an interesting one. Anasuki says, I've been stuck inside since last March due to my immune system problem. Thank you for impacting my mental health this year in a positive way. Oh, thank you. That means a lot. It really does. And like yourself, not obviously I don't have an immune system issue, and I hope you're okay. I hope you get vaccinated soon. But like you, I've only been outside 6 times since last March myself. Because of, my own breathing issues and stuff. I was waiting to be vaccinated, and I received my second vaccination next week. But thank you so much for taking the time to write that. It is beautiful to hear that we've impacted you in any kind of a positive way. But look, I've always said, you guys got me through the pandemic. You guys kept me sane, and being able to come on here each night and chat away to you folks, it's been a pleasure. It really has, and I look forward to many more years ahead, hopefully. So Carrie says, Carrie, you're on fire tonight with the super chats, by the way. Thank you so much. I get it, the yellow kit's supposed to look blind, but looking at the shirt, I hate this yellow kit. It's ruined. Nike can do a lot better. I would agree that Nike could do better. I would agree, Carrie, and it is a bit of a letdown. So George said, sign him up, 17 million, that's a steal, talking about Julian Brandt. Walter said, oh, let's go, that's class. I don't know if you mean about Julian Brandt, mate, or the shirt. Brandt wouldn't fit the English game, which is a fair point, mate. There are some players that we can look at and think you can see them fitting in. So the likes of Daniel Malin, Patson Daka, I can see them fitting in the English game. Luis Suarez, you knew he was tailor-made to fit in. But yeah, there are some players as well that you look at and we have doubts about. But what I will say is, if the manager wants them, usually that's enough to make me think that he sees something that us mere mortals don't. But I think at 17 million... 25 years of age, you can see why the link has been made. Now, are Dortmund going to want to clear out that many wingers in one summer? And it is a position that they're stacked in, but it looks like Jadon Sancho is going to be moving on. Erling Haaland could be moving on, albeit not a winger, of course, a striker. And are they going to bring in money from Julian Brandt? But the article also goes on to suggest that Dortmund have a few financial issues. Now, I would suggest that they could be cleared up rather quickly with a few sales that they'll be making. But maybe there is a chance there for Liverpool to get himself a bit of a cheap deal. Keita out, Coutinho back. Okay, let's break that down into the 2 segments. Keita out, I understand. I understand why people will be fed up of the injuries and stuff around Naby Keita. We certainly haven't seen what we'd expected since we signed him. And if the right offer came in, I wouldn't at all be averse to moving on Naby Keita. So let me put that out there first. For your Coutinho comment, 1, it's not going to happen. 2, he's been out injured since January. He hasn't played any football because of a pretty serious knee injury. And 3, what has he done since he left Liverpool to show that it would be right for us to go and bring a 29-year-old back to the club who's coming back from a serious knee injury? I don't see it. I don't. And I'm not getting into the whole how he left stuff, because that's an individual thing for each person to make up their own mind on. But with regards to Coutinho back at Liverpool, it isn't going to happen. Nor should we look at him either. He's past his best. That knee injury could come back to haunt him again as well. Nice t-shirt, Craig. Thank you. I tried to look a little bit more upmarket. Now, it is, of course, still Nike because I am a chav deep at heart. You know that, folks. Could Jota be in the starting 11 next year? Absolutely. You know, I don't think any club should really have a starting 11 as in like a nailed on every game 11. It depends who you're playing, it depends who's available, depends how many minutes players have had, if they're coming back from injury. There's a lot of things that go into it. But certainly having Jota as an option, I think he's probably forced his way into a position across the front three on an almost nailed on the team sheet way. But you know, we do have some options there, which is cool. We've got Elliot coming back. I think we'll move Origi on, so we may bring in somebody else. Is Aouar possible? He'd suit us very well. I think he's possible, although I haven't really seen strong links from Liverpool to Dusan Aouar. I think he's very likely to leave Lyon this summer. He's finished his Euro campaign with the under-21s. They were knocked out. And by the way, congratulations to Germany for going and winning the Euro under-21s. They beat Portugal 1-0 in the final. So congratulations to them on that. Yeah, I'd take Dusan Aouar, don't get me wrong, but I haven't seen anything to suggest that we're in for him. But then again, you know, it's been really quiet around Liverpool transfers, and I wouldn't necessarily look at that as a bad thing, folks. I mean, often at times, no news is good news when it comes to stuff like that, because, you know, we'll get an announcement and that'll be bang, here's everything, and it's done. So I have a sneaky suspicion we might hear something around a transfer before the end of this week. And again, just a bit of intuition here, not claiming any knowledge. I had the Canade transfer situation. I knew that. I knew what was happening there. I had a very good, reliable source on that, which is why I came out so early and said that we'll 100% be signing him. I don't have anything else like that at the minute, so I'm not going to stick my neck on the line or lie to you good folks, because that's not the way I go about things. Nicola Barella, quality player, mate. Inter Milan, we know, need to move some players on this summer. Lukaku's come out and say he wants to stay there. Obviously, Antonio Conte has left and also turned down the Spurs job. But Inter do need to raise around €100 million or about £80 million. And whether they sell Lautaro Martinez, Nicola Barella, but it looks like their preference is to sell Hakimi. And I don't know if they can get all the money they need by selling Hakimi, but he certainly seems to be the one that they're, let's say, trying to shuffle towards the exit door, most likely. Hey Craig, how you doing? I'm good, Red Devils, man. How are you? Thoughts on a back five or a back three playing Van Dijk, Gomez and Canade? I'm not against it, mate. I still think we'd be probably a centre-back too short to be looking to do that throughout the season. You'd want six solid centre-backs for me in case of a couple of injuries. But we have the squad personnel to play that system, and I've actually think that Thomas Tuchel has been a really good example of how you can implement that system in a positive way and still play a relatively open attacking game of football. Chelsea play a very, very, very high up the pitch, and obviously with Andy Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold and maybe two central midfielders holding, yeah, I can see it, man. I can see where you're coming from, and you know, having Joe Gomez, Canade and Big Verge as options, it's pretty appealing. It's got me excited, I have to say. Do you think Luis Suarez back for a year or two? No, he's going to stay at Atleti, mate. He's very happy there. He came out speaking. I watched an interview with him after they'd won the league, and he said that he feels loved at Atletico. He's got one more year left on his contract, I think, there, and I believe he'll see out that year. Harvey Elliott needs to play a bigger role next season. I think he will. I think he will, Beastery. I think you'll see Harvey obviously come back for pre-season. And look, I think it'll be down to how he gets on, obviously. And, you know, sometimes, much like has been the case with Trent before, when Kleiny picked up an injury, Trent took his chance with both hands, grasped it and did what he did. Nat Phillips, you know, did his career no harm whatsoever when he stepped in when we were short at centre-back, and is probably going to get himself a move to a bigger club than he would have otherwise. So sometimes with these guys, it's just a matter of seizing on that opportunity, and I get the feeling Harvey Elliott will. He strikes me as the type of guy that's very assured in his own ability. So I'm as excited as everyone to see how Harvey gets on. There was a story today also around Caoimhín Kelleher. So we've been speaking around, I told you guys many moons ago that the plan for Caoimhín Kelleher was to send him out on loan. This is a bit of a weird one because he has stepped above Adrian in the pecking order of Liverpool goalkeepers. So he is number 2 behind Alisson. But at the same time, you want the momentum to keep going for Caoimhín, and you want him to get the opportunity to show what he can really do. So he's been linked with a loan move to Ipswich Town, and I think a move for the Championship is a good idea for Caoimhín Kelleher. I think he should be looking to get regular game time for the entire season. I know the Irish manager Stephen Kenny has been fairly outspoken as well in saying that he wants Caoimhín Kelleher to gain experience, so he can then get more games for the national team. So, since he signed from Ringmahon Rangers, it has been a steady progression for Caoimhín Kelleher, and I like the look of the kid, not just because he's Irish, because he genuinely seems like a top level keeper. So I think the plan will be to either get Adrian on for another year, which frightens me, I won't lie, or to get another, maybe a senior, an older keeper in for a year or so to be back up to Alisson while Caoimhín goes out and does what he does. But it is a tricky situation, because if you go out and sign, I'll just throw a name, this isn't going to happen, but let's say you got Sergio Romero. He's going to come in, fair enough, but then what happens when Caoimhín comes back a year later? Do you know what I mean? So it's a tricky one, but let's keep fingers crossed that first and foremost Alisson stays fit and healthy for the season ahead, and then we'll be all grand one way or the other. Gazzaniga will be a better choice than Adrian, and he's free. David, my own opinion, and of course, David, I respect you, mate. We chat on Twitter a bit as well. I don't think Gazzaniga's anywhere good enough, buddy. I've seen him have some horrendous performances for Spurs when Lloris has been out. We should get Romero, Craig. Look, I'd be very happy if we got Romero. I mean, Romero's a solid backup goalkeeper. I mean, the wealth of goalkeeping ability United have is quite an embarrassment of riches, and it kills me to say that with De Gea, Henderson, and Romero. I mean, it wouldn't be too shabby at all. Would you rather get Aouar or Akone this summer? I'm fairly new to the Ikone bandwagon, by the way, Nat, and I wish it was the real Nat Phillips there sending me a super chat, but excuse me, tough one this, man, it really is. I'd probably say Houssem Aouar, because he's not necessarily that wide forward that's going to block the way for Harvey Elliott to come through, and he is somebody that can, of course, play behind the front three or drop between the lines and create space. So, yeah, Houssem Aouar for me in that one. But I did like the look of Akone, and obviously had a cracking season with Lille, who went and won the French First Division. Areola is a good keeper. Yeah, Areola's not too shabby. Isn't he at Fulham, though? I don't know, has he been released from Fulham? I haven't paid much attention. Will we be able to win the league next season? I mean, I think next season, mate, is shaping up for one hell of a challenge for everybody, because, you've got Chelsea, who have been linked with Haaland, and that scares the bejesus out of me, I won't lie to you. You've got Manchester City, whose owner Sheikh Mansour has come out and said, we will be replacing Sergio Aguero this summer, and it will be with a top tier striker. And then you've got Manchester United, who've been linked to Sancho and a few others as well. So I think the top four will be head and shoulders away from everybody else. I don't really think we'll see as close of a top four race as we had this season. But, who has the consistency? Look, that remains to be seen. But I definitely think we'll be in that conversation for the league title with the lads we're getting back and the couple of additions that we'll bring in. But I also do understand the frustration of where's the money? Because, I still don't get it either. I really don't. And like Carrie pointed out with the super chat earlier on, it always seems to be next summer, doesn't it? It always seems to be we're building towards X, Y, and Z, but that day never seems to come. Hi Craig, I'm a United fan, got lots of respect for you. Thank you, man, appreciate that. United fans are going to see a lot more of me this year, by the way, particularly over the summer, because I don't think I can announce it yet, but I will be doing some crossover stuff on another prominent channel, let's just say, around the Euros starting this weekend. I will let them announce it. That's not my place to do so, but I'm very excited about it. Now, we will, of course, be still doing the Euro stuff on Anfield Agenda. I'll be covering all the England games on here. I'll be doing some of the bigger group games as well. But, I'm dipping my toe in, trying to, grow my own, I don't want to say brand, because, that's a bit cringy. But, yeah, you'll see me elsewhere soon, and you'll see what you always wanted. Let's put it that way. It's certainly what I've always wanted. So, you know, I don't want to talk too much about it, but you'll see me elsewhere doing some watch-alongs. Some of them single-handedly, some of them I'll be working alongside somebody else, but I'm excited about it. It's a good opportunity, and it's a mate of mine, and I'm looking forward to it. It's the dream team. Do you know what I mean? That's all I'm going to say. It's the motherfucking dream team. It is. Football content. I don't think they know what's coming their way. Right, what have we got? Harvey Elliott out on loan to Brentford. I hope he stays, Joseph, personally, mate. Would you rather England or Scotland win the Euros? Look, man, I don't buy into I don't hate anyone, so I'm not going to come on and say I hate the English or I want the Scottish to win because they're my Celtic brothers or the Welsh. You know, I want to see good football. I want to enjoy the European Championships, and I want to see the best players go out there and perform to the best of their ability. So I wish everybody well. I mean, obviously, you know, we're not in it from an Irish perspective, but I wish everyone well, and I'm just looking forward to a good tournament, man. And no, it isn't the United stand, ladies and gentlemen. It wouldn't make any sense for me to be on the United stand, you know, but it's not the United stand. That's all I'm saying to you. Will be exciting to see Gini with more attacking midfield. Yeah, so the news around Gini Wijnaldum, I'm sure you all know, but we might as well finish up with this tonight. It looks like he has signed on with Paris Saint-Germain, so Gini Wijnaldum has to complete a medical still, but he will be a PSG player. Apparently they gave him an offer he couldn't refuse with regards to his wages, and I think he's wanted to work with Pochettino as well. There was an article doing the round today that suggested before he signed for Liverpool, he'd agreed a deal with Spurs, I think they'd said, and that he was intrigued by working with Mauricio Pochettino, who is a very good manager, so I can see the appeal. And yeah, Gini will be going to Paris to work for Paris Saint-Germain. So, you know, genuinely wish Gini nothing but the best. He was a great servant to our football club, and I don't know, you couldn't dislike Gini, could you? Craig, do you think Nico Williams will play more next season or go out on loan? The plan is to keep him at the club, Joel, and the plan is for him to be a backup to Trent, and I think he will get more game time. I hope the Euros is a good experience for Nico as well. So yeah, all positive on that front, and you know, I believe in Nico, I do. I mean, I don't think he'll ever be Trent, but I think he will be certainly a great backup option at right back, and you know, a good player for Jurgen Klopp to be able to rotate in, maybe the odd time give Trent a go in midfield, which I know a lot of Liverpool fans, myself included, would be interested in seeing. Trent, of course, started out his career as a midfielder before moving into right back, so I believe, Joel, that Nico's going to stay at the club this season. Craig, thoughts on Liverpool Echoes clickbait? Look, I don't like to speak negatively about anybody else. It's not really my thing unless it's personal. But it's not great. And I've been annoyed by Paul Gorst in the past, who has been a little bit negative towards football fan content, and you know, I think a bit contradictory around and a bit hypocritical around some of the stuff that I remember him saying. And what I would say is, where I get confused with the Echo is they cite Anfield Central quite a bit on the Echo. And a lot of these things, if you do your digging and you look at who owns what and what companies are linked, and Reach Media or all these little companies that are linked together, they all co-promote each other in ways. So don't be surprised to see that. But when I see a site like Anfield Central being used as now, look, I'm not saying Anfield Central do or do not have you know, good contacts. I've no idea. I know the guy that owns it, but I don't know anything else. But when you see, like, they've got 800 followers on Twitter, and a lot of the Echo articles are using them as a source for some of their material. So that's the type of stuff that I think makes Liverpool fans a little bit annoyed. And yes, it is now owned by the Manchester Evening News brand, I think. So I've never really had much dealings with the Echo. They've always kind of glossed over anything we've done and never really interacted with us or anything like that. And look, I mean, it is what it is. You know, people can get their news from wherever they want, but I do think that I do think the standard has dropped since the likes of James Pearce left. I will say that. What have we got? Mbappe article? I don't know what you mean by that, Ben, mate. Sorry. Thoughts on Liverpool bidding 69 and now Phillips for Mbappe? Yeah, no, we won't be. There's a really good thread actually on Twitter by a guy called Mo Chatra who's known, very good, knowledgeable football fan, and do check out his thread on Kylian Mbappe if you get the chance, and the financial side of it, because he's certainly a man who knows what he's talking about, and I'd certainly, it's a very good thread worth having a read of. Craig, do you have any idea if Karius will stay? Not if the club have their way, and I would agree with this, by the way. I think Loris Karius, if we can find a buyer, bye-bye. And I've always had a lot of sympathy for that situation with Karius, because what happened to that man in the Champions League final, whether you believe the concussion side of it or not, just on a personal level, what happened to him, yeah, very tough. But look, ladies and gents, before I go, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, drop a like on the video. But I want to have a little chat around the Logan Paul fight, because I did buy it. I did watch it last night. And you know what? Fair fucking play to the lad. Nobody can take away from him that he went 8 rounds with Mayweather. Yes, there was a massive size difference. Yes, Mayweather's 44 years of age. Yes, he's not what he once was. But he didn't get him out of there. And you got to give Logan Paul credit for that. I believe he got himself a guaranteed purse of around a minimum of $14 million as well before the pay-per-view number. So, do you know what? Fair play. Fair play to the lad. I'm not a hater. If you go get paid, man, you go get paid. And I loved the little bit of banter with him walking in with a Pokemon card around his neck. I thought that was fun as well. But yeah, I thought it was intriguing, and it was nice to see, the more amiable side of Logan Paul after it, speaking of his admiration for Floyd Mayweather and stuff. I thought Logan came across very well. He's certainly, to my mind, the far more likeable of the Paul brothers. But you know what I mean? I mean, fair play. The man, nobody can ever take away from him that he went 8 rounds with Mayweather and he wasn't stopped. Whether you think it's a farce, whether you think it shouldn't have been on or not, we'd all have loved to have had that experience and to have lasted it. So I gotta say, well done, man. Well done. Fair play to him. Does that mean he'd beat Mayweather? No, there was no judging in the fight. If it had been stopped because of a knockout or a referee stoppage, that's one thing. But there were no judges in the fight, so there was no winner, technically. As a boxing... Mate, I'm a boxing purist, Dirk. I've loved the sport. Everybody knows of my admiration for boxing, mate. I speak about it all the time. I watch it constantly. And I have avoided some of these crossover fights before, but I'm also somebody who respects the lad's hustle, and I respect that Logan Paul learned from his experience in Japan and recreated himself. And look, you can't knock a man for making a pound note, and fair play to him. I mean, I wish, I think he should be an inspiration to other people. I really do. And it's entertainment. Nobody was saying it was pure boxing, but it was entertainment. And I feel, for my 20 quid that I paid, €20, I feel I got my money's worth. Right, what have we got? Which Nolan's sister will Mayweather be fighting next? Well played, Dara. Well played. Fury or Joshua? Well, they both got fights to get through, don't they? I mean, Tyson Fury's got to deal with Deontay Wilder again, and it looks like AJ will be fighting Alexander Usyk if that gets agreed. So if it gets to it, we'll see how they both fare in these fights before we give that prediction. But look, I'm going to go, ladies and gentlemen. Keep an eye out for the Anfield Agenda One Football news show, which is going to be dropping weekly from, I think, tomorrow. We've agreed to do a One Football specific news show, so make sure you download the One Football app, because we'll be using articles from it for this news show. I'll be back tomorrow night at 8:30 as well. And keep your eye out for that little announcement of where you're going to see me popping up doing watch-alongs this Euros, because I'm very much looking forward to it. And thank you for your time as always. Lots of love to you all. Have a crack.